I'm very much, in fact, benefited by all the speakers, and all are known to me. And I was not supposed to speak despite my name there because it's a very important topic. All the speakers are very, very important from their own point of view, very important. So I didn't want to speak. I wanted to give my time to them, but since Apurvanand Saab has not come, I will speak a little bit. First of all, because some of my students have also joined and some foreign participants are also there. Let me mention that in India, in our constitution, which was made in 1950, it started in December 1946, but finally it came in 1950. There is Article 51, which says that India will pursue a policy, for world peace and friendly relations with other countries. So a lot of, sub provisions are there, which indicates that how our country is going to contribute to the peace. So it is implied that any country, if it is becoming murderous and genocidal in its activities for a long time against those people who have been periodically suppressed and historically suppressed, then we have a right to speak out. And that's why you find that in non-violent movement, in most of the resolutions, declarations made by non-violent movement, you will speak, whether it was held in New Delhi or others, you will speak that most of the declarations we included, our opposition to colonialism, apartheid, rights for the Palestinians, etc. This is one thing I was. The another important thing is that India's foreign policy stand. If you look at we should not hesitate because there was some speakers they said that we are not having any discussion on Palestine. I think all the speakers have mentioned this thing, and people are afraid. I think that it's a self-created fear. There should not be fear because in our constitution it is there. The other point is that it is a part of the foreign policy of India, that is land for peace. That is known as land for peace. Land for peace is basically it comes in the resolution of 1967, that is 242, and 338 1973, which basically talks about creating an independent Palestinian state in 22.5% of the total Palestinian territory. So, and on that basis, the 1991-1993 accords were made. That is known as Oslo-Madrid Accord. But that could not happen. And according to Oslo-Madrid Accord, Palestinian state could have come into existence by 1999, as per, the etc. So these two things. So we always, Indian foreign policy, customary and conventional and legal approach that we support two-state solution. And in this context, we can speak because whatever is happening in Gaza and what happened in Gaza and what is happening in West Bank and East Jerusalem is basically antithesis or negation of any viable Palestinian state. It's not possible. If you look into the Israeli wall, which is more than 700 kilometers, how will you create your boundary? How will you create the border between the Palestinian state and Israeli state? It's not possible. There is I will not say Zionist, but he's not Zionist. He's a Jewish intellectual, and he's a son of a very high-ranking army general of Israel. His name is Michael Peled. I think he's in USA now, or in France. He says that two-state is not possible. Where you will have Palestinian state? Israel is a Palestinian state. Israel is a Palestinian state. Where you will have? Because West Bank basically belonged to Jordan. Gaza basically belonged to Egypt. So Israel is the Palestinian state, real state. So he has his own, very nice, and he said that whosoever in majority will form the government, all should have the equal rights, etc. Michael Pellets, he says so. So if you look into the Israelis' activities, right from the beginning, 1948, it is all kinds of violation of international law. Another important point, I want to make it clear to some of the students that also have joined it, that Houthi is not a terrorist organization. Houthi is a very important historical, big ethnic group within Yemen. And of course, because of, it's a very long debate and it will take time, that they wanted to have a peace right in 2014, but that was not made possible. And the situation is not quite stable in Yemen. So Houthi is not a terrorist group. Iran is not evil. Iran is a very historical country. It is a very old civilization. Iran always preferred for putting, focus on diplomacy. If you look into the negotiation process on a nuclear issue, etc. If you look into Hezbollah, Hezbollah is a political party. In Lebanon parliament, there are 128 member of parliament. Out of 128, Hezbollah has not less than 16 MPs. Hezbollah has also a history of having their ministers in Lebanon. Even the present election of the president of Lebanon was possible because of the support of Hezbollah. So Hezbollah is a political party. It's not a terrorist group. Because Hezbollah has also suffered, and Hezbollah opposed any kind of occupation of territory of Lebanon, because southern part of Lebanon is not fully free from Israeli occupation. Not even now. Now they have come more inside, but even before Sheba Farm and other areas, and even the some buffer zone they have created, that comes in basically Lebanon. So they are opposed to it, and they have been victim of the terrorism which was made in 1975, 1982, and in 2000. So they know very well what Israel is. So, and then you come to Hamas. Hamas is basically Islamic resistance front. Hamas is a political party, like Palestinian Liberation Organization, like Fatah. It's a political party. So Fatah has a government in West Bank, and Hamas it had a government in Gaza in 2006 and 7. But after 2007, after it came to power, there was a blockade, economic blockade, air blockade, etc., etc. So they are not terrorists; they are political parties. Everybody knows. And Indian government also does not say about Hamas as a terrorist organization. Not at all. I have checked all the documents. They don't talk about this. Another important factor is that, as we know, in every newspapers, in magazines, it comes 1,200 people were killed on 7 October. We also said, but it's not 1,200. In fact, 1,000 to 1,500 Hamas members were killed within Israel because they had entered. The actual, because I consult most of the Israeli newspapers, like Haaretz, like Times of Israel, like Jerusalem Post, etc., and also Yet newspaper. So I found it was basically Haaretz, made some inquiry and some documentation. It also made contact with the security staff, police staff, etc., and it found that only 683 people were killed, Israeli, on October 7th, 683. 44% of them were either military official or police officials. Rest were civilians. And the civilians were not killed by Hamas. They were killed by the Israeli shelling. If you look into the picture of the Be'eri, the settlement, they show on October 7th what happened. You find the burnt places, burnt houses, demolished houses. How? Because it is only possible if you have a tank shelling. It is only possible when you have a helicopter combat, attack. They don't have. The Hamas does not have the tanks, etc. They made it. And there are a lot of long stories that, Hamas was basically interested to get and catch and capture Israelis to take them back to Gaza and to make a deal with Israel how their thousands of people living in jail will be liberated. So that was the actual reason. So this is another point. Another point is if you look into the killings, Professor Aftab Kamal Pasha Saab said, and rightly said, 47,000 people were killed. But there was also a report 1 month before from the Gaza medical office, health office, that actual killing was 40% more. Actual killing was 40% more. So you can add 40% more, 40% of 47,000. So that is the actual. And not 10,000 people, more than 10,000 people are under rebels. I will also tell you that 19 cemeteries, cemetery ka matlab kabristan, 19 cemeteries were, unearthed. Some of these cemeteries are destroyed. Some of the bodies were taken out. And they are still with Israel. This is another fact. Another fact, if you look into the killing of only the UN staff who are working with UNRWA, that is United Nations Relief and Work, this thing, which is working there since 1948. More than 230 UN officials were killed within 15 months. If you look into the medics means doctors, nurses, and other staff. More than 500 were killed. If you look into the killing of the academicians, professors, and lecturers, more than 100. More than 50 athletes were killed. And you also find they destroyed the cultural center, they destroyed the stadiums also, and many dozens of schools were bombed. Another point which I want to say, and also out of 251 or 241 captives total, 52 were killed. And Hamas has not killed it. They were killed during the bombing. Even at the last phase of the ceasefire, you will find that Israel was bombing, because this news came in Lebanon. It came in Lebanon, Al Mayadin, the Lebanon TV, that Israel is bombing in those areas where captives are supposed to be there. And I think 3 captives were killed or something like this. So 52 were killed. And the rest are, they are going to be released. This ceasefire, which has taken place, Europe was never interested. Mainstream Europe. US was never interested. They were talking about pause. They invented a new word, pause. They were not interested. Even America, even Biden was not interested. I think that, Biden may be interested, but not Blinken. Blinken supported a lot. I think I have a very old data. More than 500 shipments were made from US to Israel. Bombs, etc. More than $28 billion worth weapons were given, in addition to 800 recently. And recently, what happened when Trump came to power? Biden had made sanction on 16 criminals, settlers, who made war crimes. Settlers, because in Israel, Jews came from more than 91 countries. They came from 91 countries. So, and there was also sanction on 17, settlement entities. But from Biden. But Trump overruled it. He said no sanction failed. No sanction now. So ceasefire is temporary. It's not possible. A long peace, durable peace between Israel and those Palestinians who want their land back is not possible. Why it is not possible? Because in the last 50 years, more than 50, 60 years, the Palestinian territory is getting shrunk, not safe. Their homes are not safe. Their life and children are not safe. Their property and assets are not safe. Even in Masjid Al-Aqsa, where there was a status quo. And I think 6 months back, the very good rabbi, that is Jewish religious priest type, 4 or 5, they denounced the activities of the settlers to making enforced intervention or entrance in Masjid Al-Aqsa and making wrong thing. But they said there should be a status quo, but nothing happened. Now even it is difficult for Palestinians to pray in their own area, which is a violation of the status quo. So religion is also not safe. Identity is not safe. So in that situation, this is not only in the last 15 months. This is also before. Because if you look into, if you go before 7 October, in 20 years, more than 10,000 people were killed by Israelis in different, things. In different things. So peace is not possible. Why it is not possible? Because there is no solution. And what is the problem? The problem is occupation. You have occupied the land of the people. You leave their land. You go back. So my suggestion is that those people who came after Palestine was declared as a mandate territory, UN mandate territory. It was declared in 1919. It was a mandate territory under the British. And British allowed the illegal entry. They should leave. Because in 1960, the population of original Jewish people within Palestine was not more than 6% or 5%. Now, what is the population now? From where they came? If Portuguese had not liberated, had not left Goa, and if Goan people had been fighting against them, will we call them terrorists? There's a question. In Pondicherry, the French people were occupying the land because Goa and French both became independent not in 1947, in 1950s, and one in 1960 or after 1960. So if the French people, because in Pondicherry there was one-day war also between French army and Indian army, and 33 on one side and 34 on the other side were killed. So if the French people had not left the Pondicherry area, and they said, no, it's a very nice place, it's a very coastal area, I like this, it belongs to our people. And if Tamil people, because people, they speak Tamil language, Pondicherry, if they fight against the French occupiers, will we call them terrorists? We will not. The same situation with Gaza people, with the West Bank people, with the Eastern Jerusalem people. The same, they're not terrorists. They're fighting for their land. They're fighting for their home. They're fighting for their identity. They're fighting for their dignity. They're fighting for their children and women. They are not interested in money. And Trump is also saying, so unless and until the basic problem is solved, the basic problem is that those people who came to Israel after 1919, they have to leave, whether you like or you don't like. Because a country is created through negotiation. Where is the negotiation process in the creation of Israel? It is illegally created. When partition plan came in November 1947, which is known as UN partition plan, Gandhi rejected it. He said, how it is possible? He said, as England belonged to English, Palestine belonged to Palestinian people. He said that, okay, if there are some Jews within Palestine, they can have a federal autonomous area. That is possible. But if I hire your home and if I occupy your home and then I say that you are a wrong person, this is my home. The same situation happened with the Palestinians. So The West was not interested in the ceasefire. Even after the ceasefire, the violation has taken place. And Palestinians have made a lot of concession. Even Yasser Arafat made a lot of concession. And, as they are making concession, they are facing more violation. So with Israel, the solution is, if you only talk, there is no solution. If you only negotiation, because they do not talk, they do not believe in you. What happened? What the Israeli ambassador, in what way he talked about, or he talked to the UN Secretary General? They don't. Not a single resolution related to Palestine and Israel was implemented from the Israeli side since 1948. But if you look into the case of Iraq, more than 62 resolutions from the UN Security Council, all were implemented. Even Iraq was destroyed. And who is behind the destruction of Iraq? Everybody knows. There is only one entity that is in the West Asia. I'm not naming them, everybody knows. Who is behind the disturbance of Syria? Everybody knows. That is also their investigation. Who is behind the creation of ISIS? Everybody knows it is their investigation. So I think that not only the Indian people, Indian government, Indian thinkers, I'm not saying that you support Palestinians because they are this and Muslims, etc. No. You support the principle of justice. You cannot do like this with children. You cannot destroy a hospital. It is a flagrant. It never happened in the Second World War. It never happened in the First World War. In the Second World War, not more than 60 or 68 journalists were killed. In a small territory of 40 kilometers long and 12 kilometers wide, more than 200 journalists were killed. So you do not have the real information how many people were killed because they are not there at the spot. So I think that the world should look at. If they are not going to look at, then the Palestinians do not have any option except to sacrifice their life, to struggle against them as we did. Had British not left India, we could have fought. Even I could have fought against the British. So, thank you very much for time, Vanisab. I stop it here.